You know how you have like when you in fantasy football, you have teams you just flat out avoid at all costs,
Yes.
no matter what. Like mine are the Lions,
Yes.
even though I have DeAndre Swift. This year I have DeAndre Swift, Kenny Galladay, and Matt Stafford.
So you don't avoid them at all.
I
You do the
usually
opposite
do.
of avoid them.
I usually completely avoid them. This
Vince,
year I came in last place.
There's 16 slots on a fantasy team. You have 3 filled with Lions. That's hardly avoiding them.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds versus Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things. I got 2 phones. Upside alert. Upside alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone. If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope.
I'm going to drink bleach. That is
the team you promised me you were going to be this year.
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.
All right. Welcome into another edition of the Birds vs. Boys podcast, powered by Branded Sports and sponsored by the lovely Stateside Vodka, as always. It is a special show because it is hate week, even though we spend most of the year hating our own teams. It's also a special show because we have producer Vince back, TikTok star, producer of the podcast, magician behind the scenes. He's filling in for Kevin, who decided his PTO ran out at the end of the year, so it was use it or lose it, I guess, and he just didn't show up for work today. So we got Vince in for him. So it's a little bit birds versus birds tonight, Vince.
And isn't that really how it is? It's always the Birds versus the Birds. It's the Eagles against themselves every week.
That is very true. We are our own worst enemy. And I was listening to WIP. Pat me on the back for making it through 5 minutes of WIP today.
Hold on. Before you even get into your point here, no one hates WIP, but listens to WIP more than you.
I don't listen to WIP. I don't listen to the radio. But because of why I wasn't on Monday, I don't have my car, so I can't listen to my music. So I can't just sit here in silence like a moron. Ben Simmons just dunked on someone. Oh, my God. Just FYI for everybody listening, it's Sixers opening night. We are recording during the game. There is a minute left. The Sixers are up by 4. So if you hear just like strange noises while Vince is talking or breaking down a point, it's me having heart palpitations during the Sixers game, which is something I do quite often. But no, okay. So the WIP thing. I was only listening because I don't have my car, which is the whole thing about like why I wasn't here on Monday. And everyone at Pep Boys, hope you got coal for Christmas. They had somebody on from the Fan.
Roll that out as a sponsor.
No, fuck. Maybe the terrible sponsor. If their marketing team is anything like the maintenance team, I wouldn't want to deal with it. So the WIP thing, I listened for 5 minutes. And it was tolerable because they actually had the guy from the Fan. I believe his name is Mike Turner. That's
Kevin Turner.
Kevin Turner, maybe. No, it was.
You texted it this morning.
Did I? And it was Kevin Turner?
No, I'm looking for it. Great radio.
Sorry.
Mike Fisher.
It was Mike Fisher. I knew it was something white. But anyway.
Hunter Fisher,
Biden. Yeah.
Sailor.
So he was on and he was like, speaking of the Eagles being their own worst enemy and us being our own worst enemy, he was like, I can see the Cowboys winning because the Cowboys have injury chaos. The Eagles just have psychological chaos. They have a new franchise quarterback every week. They're always in turmoil. And I was like, I really hate that you make a great point here.
Yeah, we just have end of V for Vendetta chaos.
Never saw that movie. But also before this, you told me you never saw Old School, so I think we're even.
Yeah.
They just missed a shot.
You don't need to see it. It's fine.
They're up by 4. We got 15 seconds. I've been through enough Sixers games to know don't count my chickens before they're hatched. But yeah, so I thought that was funny. In my 5-minute return to radio, I actually got a few good bits, and I thought that was a really good interview. Hopefully we can get that guy on the show because I thought he was very well informed. and crack some jokes at the expense of both of our teams, which is all you can really do lately.
I mean, thus is the NFC East. Everything's a joke.
Everything's a joke. We haven't even hit power rankings yet. We'll get there at the end of the show, but let's just get into it, right? So we're winning the division, right? This is happening.
I want to say yes, because obviously this is a game the Eagles win. And like we've talked about before, how there's games where like you look at the game and you just know who's going to win. And this is probably one of those games. But wouldn't it be just like both of these teams for the Eagles to lose and the Cowboys to win?
Yes, it would. Yes, it really would. And well, everything to me just scream. I don't know. This Cowboys team is just not talented. They're just not. And
Me and Kevin talked about on the last episode, we were talking about the Pro Bowl. And I said, my point was that Jason Kelce doesn't belong in the Pro Bowl. And then before I got into that, I was like, are you mad that no Cowboys made the Pro Bowl? And he went through the roster. He was like, nope, not a single person on this team deserves to be in the Pro Bowl.
I genuinely can't think of anybody, because the big name guys like Zeke might not play at this point. And at this point, it's like, is that a bad thing? Tony Pollard seems to be better than he is. So, and you think maybe Amari Cooper, but what kind of season is he having? And it's been in flux because he's had 4 different quarterbacks at this point. So it's hard for a receiver to make it. The offensive line has been banged up. Yeah,
Zach Martin got hurt. DeMarcus Lawrence had a bad start to the season. There's just no one on that team that could have made it. So it's a bad team. Top to bottom, bad team.
It's top to. That's my whole thing is with the Eagles. There's a lot of things that I hate. Pretty much 85% of it. But it's hard to not look at the Cowboys and be like, I like 1% of it, you know? I can't find something as you're going through, just like go through the defense. Just start at defensive line and work your way back and say, where do they have the competitive advantage? Well, like, how is Miles Sanders not going to run for 100 yards? I just don't know how.
How is because he's supposed to and probably won't.
So because he's supposed to run for 100 yards, I can't wait for him to have 9 carries, 2 receptions, 11 touches total for 65 yards. And we spend the rest of the week bitching that Doug Peterson didn't give him enough touches. And then he'll be back to being public enemy number 1 instead of Wentz. Kind of shifts.
Yeah. So does this feel like the game that Jalen Hurts gets hurt? Do you? I've been thinking about this. I'm like, when does he get hurt?
I have been thinking about this a lot. As a Wentz fan, I have. This would be the game. This would be a cramp game, It's down on the turf, a little bit different. Obviously, they played in Arizona last week, so it's hotter there, but it's inside. They have grass. Down on the turf, this could be it. This could be the game that he gets hurt. But I will say one thing about Jalen Hurts. I couldn't break down something X's and O's for you and say, okay, Jordan Mailata looked good on this play because, he shifted his weight. He beat his guy to the outside. He gave him a nice punch like Baldinger does. But I can envision a guy being successful on the football field. I can really see Jalen Hurts balling out against the Cowboys. Just something about him being in that stadium, AT&T Stadium, we'll be wearing the green because they wear their away jerseys because they do everything ass backwards down there. Something about it just screams that he's going to have a big game. So I don't know if this is the game, but that game will happen.
And so the last episode was called The City, the Backup. So if Wentz comes in as a backup, does that make him better? Does that make him amazing again?
Yes.
And since he's already, we all already know he's a good quarterback. Since he's already an above average quarterback, is getting that Philly backup boost, is that going to make him MVP level good?
Probably. And think about things have been too simple recently. Anybody with more than 3 brain cells, which seems to be asking a lot if you read any headline about Carson Wentz lately, but anybody with 3 brain cells and above says, Jalen Hurts looks like he could be the starter going forward for the Eagles. He has a better contract, and Carson Wentz could thrive somewhere else. That's too easy. That's not Philadelphia. We don't have logical reasoning and deductive reasoning. It has to be a struggle. It has to be controversy. So Jalen Hurts will come in, will go out. Carson Wentz will come back in. He'll play well, and we do all this again.
Can't wait.
Can't
Can't
wait.
wait.
You
This is what Bart Scott was talking about.
can't wait. He had Mark Sanchez as his quarterback, so he had
And
much
Tim
time
Tebow.
to wait.
Was he on the team with Tebow?
Was
When they
he?
just brought Tebow in for red zone? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Because
It was
like I was
when
telling Kevin last episode, I was 10 when that happened. So
he was like 50, right?
because
Yeah.
we were talking about the Cardinals and Steelers Super Bowl. I was like, that was 2008, right? Because that's when they beat the Eagles in the championship game. And I was like, guess how old I was? It
How
was
old were you?
2008. I was 10 years old.
Oh, wow. I mean, I wasn't that old.
I was 9 because I guess that's the beginning of the year, or was it the 2008? It doesn't matter. I guess it doesn't matter.
It was a 2008 season, but the playoffs were in 2009, I believe.
Okay, so I was 10. I was 10. I was in 6th grade.
2009, I would have been. I was 2008, 2009. I was around middle school. I was early high school, middle
I mean,
school.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And
What the hell are we talking about?
I also, I also tweeted this out after the game, but the game on Sunday was just very reminiscent of that game. They got behind by a bunch early, and you're like, okay, this is not our day. This could be a total disaster. And all of a sudden, you're like, wait a second. And then you're like, whoa, not only are we back in this, we could win. Then it turns into an all-time classic, and then they lose at the end.
It was
That's
the
pretty much
kombucha girl. It was the kombucha girl.
Yes.
Where it's
Yeah.
like-
just like I can't make her face, but yes. It's kind of how it went.
So that's
Yeah.
2 times we've mentioned her on this podcast. If we do it a 3rd time, does she magically appear like Beetlejuice?
I would love to have her on the show. We should start getting random guests. We should get people not
That's what I'm saying.
associated at all with the Cowboys, the Eagles, football, sports. We'll just have people pop on for like 10 minutes and talk to them about life.
Not even famous people. Like, are you a garbage man? You want to talk about the Eagles?
Yeah, I like that. Anytime we don't have an interview set up, we're just going to find a random stranger on the street and be like, hey, do you know how to use StreamYard?
You know what? I think we just described sports radio, where they just have random people on to talk about sports.
We think good job by us for inventing sports radio in the year 2020, 15 years after it ceased to have any more.
We've gone from radio to podcasting, and then now everyone's tired of podcasting. We're just reinventing sports talk.
Yes, we went from we did the radio, then we did podcasts, but podcast people couldn't hold their attention, so we start posting our clips on TikTok, and now we're all the way back to radio. Tomorrow, I can't wait to write the beat for the school newspaper.
Hey.
Yeah, no offense. I know that's your thing, or it was your thing.
Yeah, I was the sports editor in college, so let's relax.
There you go.
Big news guy over here.
The biggest. Big J journalist, if you can't tell by the MVP rankings and the power rankings. But yeah, so to me, it kind of feels like a W. The only reason why I'm kind of getting caught up like everybody else is, and we're in the same cycle that we always are. The Eagles are the toxic relationship. They're like the hot girl where, and it doesn't even have to be a girl. I'm just a guy, so that's what I'm not going to be like, oh, the hot guy. So the Eagles are like the hot girl that comes with all the baggage, and it's a toxic relationship. But because of the level of attractiveness, you just ignore all the other problems. So we're in love with the attractiveness of Jalen Hurts right now because he's the new hot thing. And you're ignoring, she slashes your tires. You argue every day. You have no compatibility at all. So we're looking at Jalen Hurts and we're saying, this is the hot new thing. Love it. In the background, you've got guys playing corner who it's this feel-good story that they were working at Tire Mart on December 2nd. That's not a feel-good story. That's how you give up 400 yards. There's still a shit ton of problems with this team. We're just ignoring it because we're in love with Jalen Hurts now.
Not only did I not recognize the people that were playing on Sunday, I didn't recognize the people that were hurt.
I know.
There was a guy on the injury list. I was like, who the hell is that?
I know. And there was an injury during the game. I believe it was Jaquette, who was somehow the number one cornerback on the team. But he got hurt, and I was like, wait, who do we bring in after that? Who's the backup to the backup's backup? Is where
Jake
we're at.
Elliott.
Jake Elliott, who
He's going to be
also
punting cornerback.
Oh wait, yeah,
Flip
you're
for
right.
quarterback.
He was punting. We didn't have a holder. It was just a classic Eagles situation where everything went wrong, and somehow we still only lost by a touchdown.
Who holds when there's like? Do they have anyone else practice holding?
They used Ertz, but correct me if I'm wrong. Usually the quarterback is the holder. I know Jalen Hurts has held in his career.
He's been the backup for a while.
He was a backup multiple places. He was the son of a coach. In high school, even if you're the starting quarterback, you're still the holder. I know I know at Alabama he was the holder. I remember it. They ran a fake with him before as the holder.
That's what you get for not dressing Nate Sudfeld. He held. I guarantee he holds.
He definitely holds. I think it would have been really demoralizing to bring in Wentz as the holder.
You can't do that.
Yeah,
it's like in Madden when like you have two like you stack your like fantasy team in Madden and you have like two great quarterbacks and then you have like Tom Brady holding.
Yeah. You turn the sliders off and you turn the salary cap off. That's pretty much how it goes. But everyone's kicked him in the nuts recently. It would have been really bad if the team would have done it too. I made him go out there and hold. But
talk about that's bad optics. Everyone wants to talk about Juju dancing on the logos is bad optics. Having your $100 million quarterback holding kicks, that's bad optics.
That's very bad optics. But the Eagles they do not shy away from bad optics. We'll get into the Juju thing in the power rankings, the famous or infamous power rankings. The Steelers, my love child, across the way on the other side of the state. What is going on? We'll get to them soon, but there's a few other things we want to wrap up with the Eagles. They did Kyler Murray Player of the Week. It is the 7th time that somebody has won Player of the Week this year after playing the Eagles 7 times. Mm-hmm.
That's insane. I did not know that.
Yeah, so I could read you off the list if you want. I do want. Funny. And it's even some of the names like you wouldn't even expect. So Ryan Kerrigan always plays well against us week 1. Rams linebacker Micah Kaiser, okay. Chase Claypool in week 5. Turns out Nate Gary is not good. That's another thing with this team. Not to get off track. People like Nate Gary were playing, and now Alex Singleton's good. Jason Peters is starting at left tackle, and Jordan Mailata's good. We talk about Wentz and Hurts all the time and how Hurts is giving them this energy off the bench. Where were these other guys? Why weren't they playing? It's ridiculous. Calais Campbell the next week. Olivier Vernon in week 11. Aaron Rodgers, that's fair, in week 13. In week 15, it was Kyler Murray. So
that's embarrassing.
If Andy Dalton ends up Player of the Week.
Hold on. Correct my math here. 15 weeks, 7 players.
Every other week.
About as close to 50%.
Yes. Legitimately, every other week, they have given up a Player of the Week. They had a bye week.
They won 4 games. So
I think
every time they lose, basically, they have
somebody
Player of the Week.
You're right. It's the weeks that they won and the tie is the only. Yeah, you're right. Every loss that they have sustained, they've given up a Player of the Week. Not only do they lose, someone has a career day in the win.
They don't lose. They fucking lose.
They lose. They just know how to lose. So I guess where I was going with that is if CeeDee Lamb, Andy Dalton, Tony Pollard end up Player of the Week, everyone needs to be fired because I'm not playing this game where Jalen Hurts is the Band-Aid over a bullet hole. You just can't look at this. Look at this. You just can't have this many people. That is way too long of a list. It can't happen.
If only we had a producer that could do that. Pull up that tweet.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got people taking paid time off for the holidays, so now the producer's got to fill in. That's their tell me a pep boys. Like, well, this person's not here, this person's not here, this person's not here. Like, I'm barely here. Oh my goodness!
You gotta like at Pep Boys. You're like, listen, I have a podcast to do. You need to let me. Like, I feel like you guys don't understand. I have like TikTok needs me.
I didn't want to say it, but I also did want to say it. I didn't want to
Sounds
be
like,
like, hey, I'm a media guy. I have to record later.
hey, listen, guys, who I'm just paying to work on my car. I got my 2 white buddies that I got to record a podcast with, and they're waiting for me.
Yeah. We get together on StreamYard every Monday night, and you can't mess this up. So fix those tires. So yeah. They
Boy, I'm pretty distracting to this podcast, huh?
me or you?
Me, I feel like every time after I say something, we're like, what were we talking about?
That's because I get so off track. I'm watching the Sixers one, by the way, and then
Mhm.
I have so many points in my brain. When I miss 1 week, you know how it is at work. You miss 1 day at work, and you're like, okay, I have 60 things to catch up on. You end up getting further behind because you're so distracted. That's how my work goes. You made a face like you probably don't do that at work. No.
I feel like you probably got to care about. You probably got to care about your job for that. To
Do you know
happen,
how
but
good I would be at social media if I didn't care
just in
have to
general?
care my actual job?
Oh,
I would be a lot better. Well, not that I am a loser, but I would be a lot better if I didn't have to care about my actual job. And so you missed one podcast. Now I feel like my brain is helter skelter because I'm making up. I did want to pat myself on the back because I had a Nostradamus week last week. I said in the Thursday show of last week, the Cardinals' discipline determines their games. Well, they almost lost because they turned it over 3 times, and Patrick Peterson had 4 pass interference penalties on his own. I said the Cardinals and Eagles quarterbacks are kind of leading this offensive evolution in the league. Well, we were treated to 900 yards of offense. So it seemed like, and it was the first time I believe that a quarterback on both sides passed for 3 touchdowns and rushed for 1, which was kind of the point that we were making. I said the 49ers have quit. They have quit. Josh Allen MVP race heating up. I had Titans -3 and Bucks. This is my favorite one. I had Bucks. I forget what it was, but they ended up covering. And I said, because the Falcons
oh
will
no, they
find
didn't.
a way.
No, they didn't.
Are you sure?
They didn't cover what I got them at. I had them at 7. They won by 7. It pushed.
Ooh, I believe I had them at 6. It
I think
wasn't.
I had.
I thought it was going to be higher when I took it, just because it's it's the Falcons, so they keep it close, then lose close.
Oh no,
But
I
anyway,
had them at 7. They won by 4.
they won by 4.
So,
For some reason, I still think they covered. When I was looking at it, I was shocked at what the spread was. I thought it would be
pushed.
They did.
Sorry. Yeah.
Got it. That must have been more or less. But yeah, so and I said I'm taking the Bucks because I know I challenged the Falcons to find a way to screw it up, and they did. They blew a 17-point lead. So I just wanted to pat myself on the back and get a recap from last show since I was not here. Do you want to talk about the other reason why the Eagles are winning the division? I feel like you may have some hot takes on this.
Go ahead.
Dwayne Haskins in a strip club without a mask. Washington looked like a clear front runner. All they have to do is win 1 game. They're playing a pretty bad Panthers team, and they may not have a quarterback to do it because Dwayne Haskins was in a strip club after a loss to the Seahawks.
Listen, I'm mad this came out after we did our MVPs because this would have put him at number 1 on my MVP list because I had Alex Smith on my list. And Dwayne Haskins is doing everything he can to make sure Alex Smith gets back in as soon as possible.
Yes.
Who is clearly the reason that they are the best team in football.
I find it hilarious how much strip clubs are in the news recently between Haskins and James Harden. It's just so funny to me because it's such an odd, peculiar story that you would never hear about. But because we're in a pandemic, it seems like they pop up every week. It's like it's the one place that you can't go.
Remember
if you were in a bar, and I know bars are closed some places, but I think people would be like, okay, like he's out. People would defend. There's a side of the country who would defend you. You know what? He's keeping businesses open. This is the one place that you can't go.
You're 100% right because like last year, so I think I'm making a different argument than you. But last year, Sam Darnold went out and got mono, and everyone I feel like people were like, He's a quarterback of the Jets. He's going to party. And other people are like, he needs to be responsible. And that was just, the kissing disease, not even the thing that's killing millions of people.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the reasoning. People were like, he's the face of the franchise for a quarterback in New York. He's going to go out and party and meet girls, and sometimes they're going to kiss. So we'll end up with a kissing disease. And now people are like, all you had to do was not go to a strip.
That's it's free to not go to the strip club. You know what I mean? Like, it costs $0 and takes zero effort to stay inside.
It's also, if you want to take it one step further, how free it is, you have Google. If you wanted to see something that you could see at a strip club, you could find it on the internet, also for free. People
that was going to be my next point.
People willingly put that content out there for you to look at. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, his screensaver on draft night was a naked woman, his girlfriend. So all he had to do, he didn't even have to unlock his phone and could have got the experience of a strip club.
This guy's out of his goddamn mind. What a fucking crazy person to have a naked picture of your girlfriend as your lock screen.
And it was on the draft. He gets drafted and he gets the call so that he has his phone in his hand and it's a naked girl. It's just someone who doesn't get it. And I think that's what Kevin and I have been harping on with him. This kid, first of all, wasn't sold on him as a quarterback. And ever since that whiteout up in Penn State, he was happy feet Haskins. He did not look comfortable at all. And now, not only is he a bad quarterback, he also seems like a really dumb person.
See, that's where I didn't know about the draft night thing. So I was sort of defending Wayne Haskins, not publicly or anything, but I was like, yeah, give him a shot, whatever. Knowing he's just an idiot, I'm done.
People don't give up on first-round picks, quarterbacks, young guys with talent very quickly or very easily. It should really tell you something, that Washington was ready to give up on him in year 2, week 3. We didn't need...
Also, Ron Rivera's the coach, and he had Cam Newton, who was quite a handful.
And handled it pretty well, if I'm not mistaken.
Took him to a Super Bowl. He made him the MVP. I mean, arguably Cam Newton made himself the MVP in his legs or whatever, but Ron Rivera was there for it. So, he knows how to thrive under those situations.
And had a good working relationship together until the end. And I don't think Cam's problems at all were with Ron Rivera. They were with the front office and when they had turnover. They always seem to have a good relationship.
So I think we debunked it. This is Mythbusters. Myth busted. Dwayne Haskins is an idiot.
Dwayne Haskins might be a bust. Yikes.
Yeah.
So that was the other thing is, week 17, the Eagles and Washington are going to play. I don't know. I'm very confident in Washington if they have Alex Smith. Without him, and their defense is so good, they just have to look semi-competent on offense, and they just can't do it without Alex Smith. They just can't do it. So they have Carolina this week, and Carolina is not good. But we'll see if Dwayne Haskins is even allowed to play. And Alex Smith is hurt. He has a calf injury, and any leg injury for him I get very worried about. So we'll see. I believe Taylor Hinkney, I'm not even saying his name correctly, how far down he is in the depth chart, is next up if Haskins can't play. But
he's the one that someone tweeted Dwayne Haskins is trash, and he liked it. Did you see that?
That is hilarious. I did not know that. I am in total agreement with this guy. And honestly, all game to him. In any other scenario, I'd be like, you know what? Stay off social media. You can't trash your own teammate. He's like, I see my opportunity. This guy's an idiot who's been handed 100 opportunities and literally can't just do like the one thing that we're not allowed to do. I'm taking advantage of this. I don't care if this guy doesn't like me because he's not going to be around in the long term.
He is on a team that's run by Daniel Snyder, and somehow he's the biggest idiot in the room. That's impressive.
Which is the most wild part about all of this is what's being swept under the rug in the conspiracy theory is, well, it's not really a conspiracy theory. It's kind of how rich people work. So Daniel Snyder just had to pay off somebody for sexual harassment in 2009. Just so happens that story breaks the same time that Dwayne Haskins is in a strip club.
Not surprised.
Not surprising. Rich people, that's just how they work. Even when they get in trouble, they find someone else to be in more trouble so that their trouble is less troubling.
So then you can become the president.
Then you become the president. Exactly. There's always another conspiracy theory that you can hide behind. Or not conspiracy theory, scandal, I guess I should say. But yeah.
And that was politics talk on Birds versus Boys.
We don't need to get too far into that. Washington, though, we'll go to the home of politics. Washington, they teeter on being a feel-good story and the biggest group of dumbasses you've ever met in your entire life. So Ron Rivera, everybody wants to see him make the playoffs. He was coaching with cancer. He was a great guy to begin with. Everybody loves him. He's going to be a culture changer there in Washington. You want to see him succeed. Alex Smith, comeback player of the year, almost didn't walk, almost didn't live. Now he has them totally turn this team around on a winning streak, could win the division. Then you deal with this other stuff where they have sexual harassment scandals pretty much every few months. That's how we started the year with that bombshell report. Another one the other day. Dwayne Haskins is an idiot. They teeter on feel-good story. This team is just scumbags.
And then you're also forgetting that this team doesn't have a name.
I believe I started this season by saying I was out on the Eagles this year if they lost week 1 to a team that wouldn't even put in the effort of making up a name.
Did you see the report that Daniel Snyder might be sticking with Washington football team and his 1B is Washington Football Club?
I can see Washington FC. I just feel like they'll keep it as it is because it's low key. They stay out of the news. They stay out of the headlines. People just everyone was making fun of it first, but now they'll be like, it is what it is. It's Washington.
There goes that football team.
Washington football team. You just get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
You see the WFT. They stay. It doesn't. It's a boring, bland kind of helmet, logo, color scheme. So you just stay under the radar. It's really what they want to do.
A boring team for a boring sports city.
It's the worst sports. The Washington Wizards just played, and I know somebody down in Washington, and he's just like listening to the Washington commentary and wants to die. What a terrible sports city. And the Nationals winning a World Series and just being inspired by the song Baby Shark. They're the worst. What a terrible city.
Yeah, the Eagles have dreams and nightmares. The Yankees have that Alicia Keys song, and the Nationals have Baby Shark.
Baby Shark. Are you kidding me? Boston has Shipping Up to Boston. Empire State of Mind is the one you're thinking of. Eagles have Dreams and Nightmares. The Nationals have Baby Shark.
Yeah, so I couldn't remember the name of the song. I was 11 when it came out.
That's this was another heartbreaker around the same time as that NFC Championship game, the 2009 World Series. I don't know if you remember this, but before the game, I believe it was game 2, Jay-Z and Alicia Keys performed Empire State of Mind live on the field. I didn't think we were winning after that one.
I was 11 years old, and I remember seeing that being like, fuck.
Yeah, I was very much like, I don't think we're winning.
I had my friend over my house who was a diehard Yankees fan. Or he's one of those like gypsies who's a Yankees-Phillies fan because he's like his parents are from New York, but he grew up in the Philadelphia area. So like he has the allegiance to his parents' team, but he's also a fan of the team. He's whatever. But he was like hardcore rooting for the Yankees in the World Series. And I remember like being like, we could probably turn this off.
Probably, yeah. We don't want to see what happens.
We'll turn this back on when Cliff Lee starts again.
That's pretty much how it went.
Mm-hmm.
We were there for the Cliff Lee parts and not much else.
Mm-hmm.
So Washington, terrible sports city. Dwayne Haskins, not a great person, not a smart person. Could cost them really the division. I don't even know if I want to win the division, but we just might.
That's what I said on the last episode. Some loser has to win this division.
Some loser has to win this division. And that loser might just be us. I'm talking. I don't know if I'm talking myself into it as a fan. I'm just talking myself into it as logic. It's not a hard. You just win 2 division games and you're in. And if Washington's on their third string quarterback, you can't like their chances. It's just logic. I'm not being a Homer Eagles fan when I say this, right? I don't think so, at least.
I just can't believe we have to win this division. Like, we just wasted a terrible season on winning.
That
Like,
would
this is
be
the worst in recent memory, and we're wasting it on winning the division.
And we never finished inside the top 10 either. I believe last time Fletcher Cox or Lane Johnson, that pick was right around. One of them was like pick 12. One of them was like pick 9. And it was fine, but we're never like hovering around the top 5. The only reason we were in the top 5 for Wentz is because we traded up from 13 to 8 to 2. So the one time that we have that chance to get like a generational talent top 10, we'll screw it up by winning the division.
Wasn't Aguilar like 13, 15?
He was later. I think we went 10-6 that year. So he was like 16 or 18. He was definitely in the teens. Yeah.
I was just like drafting Nelson Aguilar for the rest of our lives, just in that 11 to 18 chunk. Like, we're never going to be outside of that. We're never going to draft a good player ever again. We're going to miss on every second round pick for the rest of our lives. And we're going to do this forever until we die.
That's part of the reason why I was okay winning the division earlier in the year. Is like, who cares where we pick? Just pick the right guy. It's not where they're picking, it's who they're picking. But at this point, I'm kind of set. I had talked myself into the top 10 pick, and now I have to talk myself back into it. And I have to talk myself back into beating the Buccaneers in the first round of the playoffs. It won't take much for me to do that, but I'm going to do it.
I can't believe they're going to get a home playoff game.
We are trending that way. Do you think they'll let fans in? Probably not, right?
I don't know. Buffalo is.
Okay, so I'm a big believer we don't need fans at these games. Let's figure out this pandemic once and for all. Buffalo deserves fans at their playoff game. I feel so bad that they won't have a packed Bills game for their first home playoff game since God knows when. Literally,
they're so good though. They'll be back. They're so good.
Yes and no. Once you start after paying Josh Allen, it's going to be tougher to make these appearances.
You got what, at least a year or two, right? This is what, year 3?
He was in the same draft as Baker Mayfield, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is year 3.
Was he?
This is year 3.
Yeah. So what? He's got 1 or 2 more years, right?
Yeah, you have to pick up the option.
They'll probably extend him anyway.
Yeah, but once you extend him, then you're kind of shit out of luck in terms of paying. So yeah, the window is, trust me, as someone who's dealing with it right now, the window is smaller than you would think.
Other than Josh Allen, they don't have any really like stars. They have Stephon Diggs, but like
Stephon Diggs, yeah, that's true.
That's it.
And they just built a really good defense. What a novel concept of just drafting good players and surrounding your quarterback with them.
We've been saying it all year. Just draft a good team and your team will be good.
I could finish this podcast every week in 5 minutes. Every time I get in an argument on the internet, I'm just like, people say something that wins, and then I'm into it. And I'm like, we could just draft good players and not have this argument. It could be as simple as that. We don't need to talk about this. We could just draft somebody who's good.
Yeah.
So speaking of Wentz,
at the bare minimum, Wentz is an average quarterback, right? Even at if you break down any argument, at the bare minimum, he's average. If you put a good team around an average quarterback, the team's going to be good.
Look at Derek Carr. That's the perfect example. There's some good examples.
That's perfect.
Derek Carr is the perfect example. So they improved their offensive line. They got better on offense. Josh Jacobs in his second year. He has Darren Waller. They signed Aguilar. He looks a lot better this year. They're 7-6. They're much improved from last year. Who knows if they make the playoffs because they still got a lot of issues on defense. He is the perfectly average quarterback, and it is night and day from last year to this year.
He might even be a little worse than average.
He's better. He's not as good as Wentz.
No, I mean he might be a little worse than average. Like he might not even be average.
That's true. He's like a C- on the grading scale.
And mediocre quarterback in a good-ish situation.
Here's another one. Kirk Cousins, average.
I've been saying this. I brought this up on the last episode, and then the episode me, you, and Eddie did. Like, if you can give me Kirk Cousins on a decent contract, which the whole thing was that he wasn't going to get a good contract, give me like a rookie Kirk Cousins all day. Give me the most average of average quarterbacks forever.
Kirk Cousins won a division. He won the NFC East a few years back. So it can be done. It's the team around them. Even an average quarterback, even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. So you're right. Even if Wentz is not, he'll never be an MVP candidate again. And he's just perfectly average. If they could just draft well, they wouldn't be in this position. Good thing is the Colts have a pretty good team. So I don't really have to worry.
They got a good young team too, so they can afford a quarterback.
They've drafted well, and they have a good young team, and they have a good defense behind them.
Yeah.
So speaking of Wentz, I did want to bring up that Adam Schefter report recently. So Sunday it comes out. He releases the report. I know you guys talked about this. You were spot on. Hold on. You were spot on. Adam Schefter releases this report, says Wentz wouldn't want to stick around as the backup here in Philadelphia. He'd like to move on. And you were like, what told you that? Common sense. I'm so happy. It's like I'm watching my son at graduation, making these takes, and they make sense, and they're just perfect 10 out of 10s, and just taking the side of Wentz. I felt so proud. I felt like the mom in Mean Girls when she has the camera watching the girls dance on the stage. I was so proud of you.
Why would he want to play football here? Why would anyone want to play football here?
Why exactly? Why would anyone subject themselves to this? He wants to what? 1, be the scapegoat for all the problems. 2, get killed behind an offensive line that sucks. 3, who's a competitor wants to be a backup.
Let's take this outside of football. Who would want to play in this city in general? I think Bryce Harper is mentally ill. Why would he want to come here? But even the Phillies, they're terribly run. But the Sixers with their medical staff, what is wrong with James Harden? Why does he want to come here? Why is this his destination?
I don't know.
He can kiss more body than I.
Philly needs to take a long look at themselves and realize people leave and are way more successful elsewhere. And it should really tell you something. And the only way they got Bryce Harper is by literally giving him $300 million. It takes $300 million for someone to be happy in the city. That should really tell you something.
I feel like we're always saying, this guy's amazing. We bring him in and he stinks.
Yeah.
Wonder why.
It's the city.
It's not everybody else. It's you.
It's you. I say that all the time.
It's like that guy. He's like, all women are trash. Or are all women trash, or are you?
Are you trash?
Is everybody crazy, or are you?
If you run into an asshole in the morning, this is my favorite saying. If you run into an asshole in the morning, then you ran into an asshole in the morning. If you ran into assholes all day, you're the asshole. Philadelphia is the asshole. You keep running into these problems and you think the other people are creating the problem. No, you are. You're chasing a franchise quarterback out of town. And it very well be that he will thrive somewhere else and we'll thrive without him. And that's fine. But we should take a long look in the mirror and see how we got to this point.
Yeah. Players aren't leaving here. And the only 2 people in this city that I can remember ever had a player who left and then kind of dropped off. Frank Reich, because he was clearly the reason Carson Wentz was good, and Deuce Staley, because he keeps getting these he keeps getting all these running backs who either retire after they leave, no one wants to sign them, or they're like, those 2 options. He gets all these undrafted rookies, Boston Scott, like he gets off of a practice squad, Jordan Howard, Jay Ajayi, LeGarrette Blount, all gone.
Josh Adams,
forgot he existed.
Wendell Smallwood, Corey Clement.
Yeah, all guys who were legitimate contributors to this team, and then afterwards they're gone.
Yeah, no one. You never hear from them anywhere else in the league. So yeah, I think we need to start.
These are 2 guys who aren't the Eagles' offensive coordinator.
Yes.
Nobody is the Eagles' offensive coordinator instead of Deuce Staley.
We don't have one. I feel like we have the same conversation.
Hold on. They made They made Mike Groh, the guy who was responsible for the worst wide receiver core ever, right? They made him. Was he the Dorial Greenback? Was that his group?
No, remember who was it? He was a former receiver. I want to say his name is Greg. It's not Greg Edwards, is it? No.
I don't remember. Whatever.
It's not Greg.
Not a great whatever. They made him the offensive coordinator instead of Deuce Staley, who I just listed 1,000 reasons why he would have been a better coach.
And once they fired Groh, they just decided
nobody instead.
We're not going to fill the position. Nobody gets a promotion. We're going to hire no one. We're just going to consolidate all of the power to Doug Peterson, and we're going to have consultants. What the hell kind of business structure is this? This is a Ponzi scheme.
Because Howie Roseman was like, you know what? I have a good track record with coaches that have too much power, so I'm going to give this coach too much power.
Yes. But he also had a scapegoat then. So Doug has all the power. So if they fail, guess what? Oh, it must have been Doug Peterson. And oh, it must have been Carson Wentz. I loved how the story came out a few days before this Adam Schefter report. So let's just go timeline really quick. Last week, a story comes out in the Philly Inquirer and kind of just breaking down where they're at. You know, Doug Peterson could leave after the season. Carson Wentz can leave after the season. But no chance Howie Roseman leaves after the season. And they quoted a few people who were here before. In one source from the Andy Reid coaching tree and during his tenure here, said Howie is a master of self-preservation, quote unquote. Well, that's what I like to hear about my GM. Not that he's a good drafter. He's good at self-preserving. And then you see all these leaks 3 days later after the story comes out about Howie being good at self-preservation. So basically Peter Pettigrew from Harry Potter. He just stays alive by switching sides and being a rat. That's what Howie Roseman does. 3 days later, this magical report comes out that says Carson Wentz wants to move on. Then the internet reacts, Carson Wentz, terrible teammate. He must be the problem. Guess who sits back and gets none of the blame once it all goes to Carson Wentz? Howie Roseman.
Is that the metaphor you told me you thought of in the middle of the night and you almost forgot it?
No, that was the hot girl analogy and how Jalen Hurts is hot, but everything else in the relationship is bad. I did forget to write that down, and thank God, like 2 minutes before we started, I remembered it and put it in there. So yeah, if people are wondering what I think about, if you ever question how insane I am as an Eagles fan, I sit there in bed by myself and think about these analogies. It says Jalen Hurts equals attractiveness. That's what I think about before I go to bed, apparently.
Kevin said the same thing last week, but he was talking about his tongue.
He thinks about his tongue?
Yeah, he said I said his tongue. Did you hear the rumor that his tongue grows another centimeter for every 10 yards he throws? And Kevin was saying how like the girls must love him or something.
What?
Because he's got a crazy long tongue. You didn't hear that rumor?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow.
You didn't hear that rumor that it grows 10 centimeters or it grows a centimeter for every 10 yards he completes?
It seems that way. So I love that both Kevin and I are listening or thinking of Jalen Hurts in his tongue before we go to bed at night. Yeah, that was the analogy that I thought of. But anyway, as we're recording today to finish up the Adam Schefter thing, so he went on 97.5 after 3 days of just leaving that bombshell report out there and just letting Carson Wentz just teed him up, covered him in blood, and fed him to the piranhas. And then 3 days later, after the flesh was eaten off his dead corpse, got on 97.5 and said, everybody took this story out of context. That's not what I said. And they asked him, so did you talk to Carson? No. Did you talk to his agent? No. But I have sources. So he basically just worked under the assumption, which is correct, that he won't want to be a backup quarterback here. Dropped it on game day. Let the fire burn. And 3 days later, just came out and said, you know, you guys kind of took that out of context. That's not what I meant. Great journalistic and integrity. Thanks a lot.
What an asshole. Was he a beat writer for the Falcons first?
Probably. I don't know what he did before this. I know he went to Michigan, so maybe it was the Lions.
Hmm.
I wish and this is my last thing before we get into the main event, the power rankings. I just wish Carson Wentz was mean. And
I've
maybe
been
it's
saying
good
that for years. I've been saying I wish this dude had a backbone for like since he's been here. He's such a boring guy.
He gets taken advantage of to the point you hear all this stuff and people calling him soft, and guys who break their back and keep playing aren't soft. Guys who tear their ACL and throw touchdown passes aren't soft. Everything, and you have all these arguments and people kind of rip into him. And I don't get the internet's obsession with tearing people down who are good people. We saw with Steph Curry. Why did we tear down Steph Curry? Because Kevin Durant wanted to play basketball with him. And the same with Carson Wentz. So he goes home and reads the Bible and takes care of his kid, and he's a family man and posts pictures of him making jack-o'-lanterns with the family. Like, this is the guy that the internet wants to tear down. This is your enemy. This is the person that we're vilifying. Really? Him. This is who we chose. So it's crazy to be where we're at with Wentz, and just him all of a sudden being the bad teammates, the guy no one wants to play hard for, nobody likes him. It's weird that we chose him. And I just wish he were meaner, or he would just come out and be like, you know what, fuck you, fuck this report, you're wrong. You're just not telling the truth about me. He tends to be like, well, I don't use social media. Well, I'd love for you to get on social media and tell Adam Schefter to go fuck himself. I think people would respond to that more. And I totally get, we just talked about athletes being on social media and getting in trouble, like Dwayne Haskins being on an Instagram story at a strip club. But it's up to the point where, yeah, it's come to the point now where it's almost like Carson needs to get on and defend himself. You've been a good soldier, but at this point, you need to put somebody in their place and say it how it is, and say from your side, and instead of letting everybody else dictate the narrative. And he's just too nice.
He's gonna sit there and be like, "Yeah, well, the Lord will get him."
Yeah, I get it. Like, I get it. You're not confrontational. That's fine. It's probably a good thing. It's just you're playing in a city where all we
he
do
plays
is
a contact sport. He plays a contact sport. You need to be confrontational.
You have to be yeah, exactly. And he's just letting other people dictate the narrative. He's got to step up and have a backbone. And even though he broke his backbone and kept playing, because we have a shitty medical staff in this city, they just kept letting him play. But he's got to change the narrative on him, and it starts with defending himself.
I've been saying it since. I know you said like specifically the opposite of this. I just want a cool quarterback. I just want someone that's cool.
I think so boring. Looks cool in his uniform, though. No. You don't think so?
No, he looks like a dad playing the Turkey Bowl game.
No, Phillip Rivers looks like a dad playing the Turkey Bowl game, especially on.
Well, Carson Wentz is like 5 years away from looking like that, because he already looks like an old guy.
4 inches taller, though. I don't know. I think Carson looks his uniform combinations and with the shooting sleeve and everything like that. He looks cooler than he is. Like, I'm surprised he does look like this. You'd expect him to have like the sleeves like Peyton Manning and no shirt underneath, no gear.
Yeah.
Maybe like a wristband, like a wrist sweatband.
That's true.
Or an ugly helmet. He's cooler than he is off the field, on the field, looking wise.
Okay. Yeah, you can have that point. I get it. Yeah. You won that one.
I'm glad that we covered.
Give him the ding.
Now that we've covered the attractiveness of both quarterbacks here in Philadelphia, let's get into our gambling picks for the week and then finish up with the power rankings, which are what the kids on TikTok come to see.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have your two? Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I have my first pick. Falcons plus 10.5. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. They're going to be.
No. I will not let you do this.
No, ready? They're going to be up 5 with like a minute left. And then they're going to lose by 2 or 3.
Vince, I can't let you do this. I feel like the guy in Get Out when the camera flashes, just telling you to get out.
They're going to keep. This is the Kansas City always has one game where everyone's like, "What the fuck is happening to Kansas City?" which I guess they may have already sort of had that with the Raiders, but that was a divisional game. You can't count it.
They also did it with
So-
the Dolphins 2 weeks ago.
No, the Dolphins are good.
Kind of.
So I think they're going to come out. Falcons are going to be, have a good first half like they literally always do. And then they're going to keep it close till the end. And then Kansas City's going to win by a touchdown, maybe 4, 5, 7 points.
Vince, it's the Falcons. They're going to screw you. Like, it's going to happen. I feel bad watching you walk down this path. You are walking to be sacrificed to the sun gods. No, just don't do this. This also reminds me, I got a DM during the game. I won't say the person's name, but it was just so funny and I felt so bad. He says, hey man, just moved to Philly a couple weeks ago and I'm new to this whole Eagles fandom thing. What the fuck is going on right now and how am I supposed to be feeling about it? And I just thought to myself, no, you poor innocent soul, don't do this. There's still
idiot.
time. You can get out of this. You don't have to do this.
He chose to be a fan of this team. What an idiot.
He chose to do this. I was born into this. I have no choice. I have no hope. I'm stuck. I'm an addict, and there's no cure for this. You still have time. You can still save yourself.
There was a kid in the TikTok comments this week. He was saying, like, how we're the worst Eagles fans of all time. And I was like, no, we're wrong. The team actually said we're the best. And he says, it's like, no, my grandfather's been a fan since the 60s. I'm like, cool fucking brag. Like, what a weird flex to be like, my grandpa's been miserable since 1960, except for 1 year.
Which is crazy because so he missed the 1960 championship. So he's literally the most miserable person that you could be. You didn't even get to see the good parts.
And then I replied to that. I was like, well, good news. Kevin's been a fan. Or Kevin's a Cowboys fan, but he's been watching the NFC since 1959. He's actually 65 years old.
Pretty much. Pretty close. Only an old person would do what he's doing right now. But yeah, so I got that DM and it reminded me seeing an innocent soul go down the path of Eagles fandom and then seeing you go down the path of betting on the Falcons or believing the Falcons were going to benefit you in any way and not screw themselves over and screw you over.
I'm certain they're going to screw themselves over, and I am piggybacking off of that and betting on it correctly.
I am just the guy getting flashed with a camera flash and telling you to get out. Just get out while you can. Just get out.
All right, what's your pick?
I have Cardinals -5 against the 49ers. Little Saturday action, actually. So I said last week the 49ers have quit. I don't blame them. Super Bowl hangover a little bit. Really, it's more so because of injuries. I don't even know who they play at quarterback. Nick Mullins is good for 1 or 2 back-breaking turnovers every game. I would probably see C.J. Beathard playing this week. Regardless,
I think I did see that.
He is starting. He needs to start because
I saw that.
This Nick Mullins thing is ridiculous. You just can't have 2 back-breaking turnovers a week. Please ignore the fact that my favorite quarterback is Carson Wentz when I say that. The Cardinals, they need this game. They're hanging on that wild card. Big win last week, capitalize on the momentum. So, hilariously, I don't know who's home and away, but I guess it doesn't matter because the game's getting played in Arizona one way or another.
Oh.
Yeah.
True. Cardinals are home. But
Cardinals are home.
And interestingly, this game is only available on Amazon Prime Video.
If I wasn't out of the fantasy playoffs, that would bother me quite a bit.
All right. My next pick I have in the Browns-Jets game. I have over 47.
Okay.
I just think they score significantly higher than 47 points.
Okay. Great reasoning is how overs work in gambling.
Yeah. I mean, the Browns, what is stopping them from scoring?
I guess the Jets held the Rams at 20 points. It's the nicest thing I can say.
I don't know. And then, I mean, the Jets offense isn't in like, they'll probably give you 20.
Gave you 20 last week. So
yeah, all you need is 20. The Browns can definitely score 27 points. Probably more than that.
but then the Jets would have to score 20. So,
Yeah. I
okay.
think both of those things is possible. That's 47.
Okay. All right.
You think this is a bad pick? 47 is incredibly low for this game.
I think going anywhere near the Jets, unless it's a spread and the other team covering, can be risky because you don't know what team is going to show up.
Oh, you mean like me taking Rams money line on Sunday?
Did you
Like
really?
that? Yeah.
What was the value in taking Rams money line?
To like sprinkle into a parlay.
I was about to say it had to be a part. It wasn't straight up Rams money line, right?
No, I would have to bet like $2,000 to win 45 cents.
To win 45 cents. Yeah. So that makes sense. All right. You had it in a parlay. That helped. Yeah. Help boost those odds, sprinkle it in a little bit. That makes sense.
Yeah, and then it ruined the whole thing.
That's yeah. You always throw one in the teaser where you're like in the parlay where you need to increase the odds. So you throw one in where you say to yourself, well, this is an easy win. I know that, but I just need to boost the odds a little bit.
Yeah,
And that was that one.
It bumped my payout up like maybe $10. I was like, yeah, sure. What's 10? Like $10 extra dollars. That's fun. And it ruined the whole thing.
Of course. That
So
is
some money. I have no money.
That is how gambling goes. I will tell you what. All right. My other one is the Broncos +3 versus the Chargers. I think the Chargers are the better team. Broncos have played fairly well. They weren't terrible against the Bills. The Bills are just a much better team. I think this is a game. There's always a game when you're deciding if a guy is your franchise quarterback. He'll have one game where they play well, they score points, and it's towards the end of the season once you're out of it. But he'll give you a game, and they'll win, and you'll say to yourself, this might just work. This is going to be that game for Drew Lock. He's going to have a game where they beat a rival in the division.
Hold on. I thought you were talking about Justin Herbert the whole time.
We know that Justin Herbert works. It's not a debate.
Yeah, but Drew Lock sucks.
I know. That's the point. He sucks, and then there's always one game where you should move on from this quarterback. Logic tells you that you should move on from this quarterback. He's not a franchise quarterback. But then at the end of the season, once it's over, because he's not a franchise quarterback, he'll have one good game, they win, and you start to say, okay, maybe we should give it one more year. We had injuries, like he wasn't throwing the Courtland Sutton this year. Maybe if the team's fully healthy, they're good. No, he's bad. Okay? He's bad. Denver, he's not good. We'll give you Carson, but Drew Lock is not good. But
God, how bad would he look in a Broncos jersey?
He would look really bad, but I think that team would be much improved.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
I mean, they did go with the statue of Peyton Manning.
They did do that and won a Super Bowl. So I think Broncos, this is their week. This is their win before the season ends. They'll might do one more year off of Drew Lock off of this game. It always happens. You always have that debate. It leaves the door cracked. The door is not slammed shut.
Is Chad Kelly still on the team?
If he is, he's on the practice squad.
Mm-hmm.
No, he went somewhere else. Maybe.
Why do I feel like he's on the Chargers?
I feel like we could look this up, but he's
If only we had a producer.
If only we had Google. I don't even think it's worth looking up though.
Well, guess what? I'm looking it up.
Okay.
There's his mugshot. He is a free agent. So all that for nothing. That was fun.
He just the same age as me.
Really?
Hmm?
I'm getting to that age too, where like you find out that like athletes that hadn't made it, that like that like didn't make it, they're your age.
They're your age.
Weird. Markel Fultz was the first guy for me. Like, wow, he's the same age as me.
Yeah. Congrats.
Yeah.
Hey, he's $50 million richer this week. So
yeah.
So for me, Broncos +3. And I think we've got some interesting picks for more than a few reasons. We got Amazon Prime, we got the Jets, we got the Falcons. God bless. And now we have the power rankings. So this is the moment
for this.
That fuels the show. This is Vince's moment to shine, even when he's not co-hosting. So let's get into it. We do 1 through 5, right? I think we should do 1 through 5. Start at 1.
I think so.
I will go first. And I will say I have a special edition of mine because it's more about the teams that I left off that I would like to talk about. So at 1, I have the Chiefs. I'm not going to say much more. Big win, though, against the Saints.
At number 1, I think I have a team you're going to like. You've had them on your list a lot this year.
Okay.
I have the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, God.
They toppled the most unstoppable force in football, which is the Jets defense making sure they lose games.
Jets fired their defense coordinator. Look totally different now.
Yeah. So the Rams were able to somehow not lose to the Jets defense, which makes them the best team in football because I lost myself.
Congrats.
I lost myself.
Congrats to the Rams. All right. At 2, I have the Packers. The Aaron Rodgers MVP train is well out of the station. They're on a 4-game win streak, I believe, and no signs of slowing down. AFC North champions.
Number 2,
NFC North.
I have the Bengals. I have the Bengals number 2.
All right, explain that one for me.
Well, I was told the Steelers are supposed to be the best team in football on this podcast every single week. So,
that is fair. That is fair. I deserve that. That is fair. And Bengals played great. I do not know what happens with the Steelers. I do not know. So I actually love that Bengals pick it too.
Do
you want to do your third? Maybe do back to
no.
back?
No,
okay.
You do your third.
I'll get mine out of the way for you. So at 3, I have the Bills. I had Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs in my MVP rankings last week. I would like to keep that the same. I'd like to give a shout out to my MVP rankings because I think they actually made sense after this past week. I have the Bills at 3.
Number 3, I have the probable AFC North winners, the Cleveland Browns.
This is your closest to sanity pick every time when you actually.
I keep putting the Browns on my list as not a joke, and everyone thinks I'm joking. I think this is a good football team.
Were you so used to being a joke that now that they're there, it's taken a while for our brains to catch up. At 4, I have the Saints. They've lost 2 in a row, but I don't necessarily think they're bad. I think they got caught in a look-ahead game and lost to a really good Chiefs team. Are they bad, though, because of 2 straight losses? No.
Number 4, I had the Bengals at 2, so I had to put this team on the list somewhere. I have the Dallas Cowboys.
Because they beat the Bengals.
They sure did. And I think it's going to take a hell of a team to overtake this team and win the NFC East.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if it can be done. That's a fair point by you. And to round out my power rankings, I have the Seattle Seahawks. They just crept in there. There's some other teams that probably should have made it over them, but I'm still a believer in Russell Wilson. Give me Russell Wilson with 2 minutes left in the game, and I will show you a miraculous win.
All right. And speaking of 2 minutes left in the game and something miraculous happening, at number 5, I have the LA Chargers.
Of course.
Just because, like I said, I don't like just putting winners on here. So they are the best at being so goddamn confusing. I can never bet on a game they're part of.
That is very fair. They were teetering on another disaster on Thursday Night Football and then won. So,
and I know you just picked this game, so this isn't great for that. But the Chargers and the Broncos, I feel like they play 6 times a year, and it's always a scoregami game. It never makes sense, and they have a completely 500 record against each other.
It is they play 6 times a year. It's always the 3rd best game at the 425 slot. You forget that it's happening.
Oh, that's so true.
And you don't really care about it, but the game ends up being entertaining because most times both of them are mediocre.
Yeah, and the boy group Hansen is on red zone, probably ignoring them, being like, "This team scored. Moving on."
Philip Lindsay with the touchdown. All right. Back to the America's Game of the Week that everybody is watching on regular TV anyway.
You know how you have, like, when you in fantasy football, you have teams you just flat out avoid at all costs?
Yes.
No matter what, like, mine are the Lions,
Yes.
even though I have DeAndre Swift. This year I have DeAndre Swift, Kenny Galladay, and Matt Stafford.
So you don't avoid them at all.
I
You do the
usually
opposite
do.
of avoid them.
I usually completely avoid them. This
Vince,
year I
there's
came in last place.
There's 16 slots on a fantasy team. You have 3 filled with Lions. That's hardly avoiding them.
All right, let's completely go off track here because I never take anyone from the Lions, the Falcons, the Chargers, or the Broncos. And this year, I had 2 fantasy teams this year. On one team, I had Kenny Galladay, Matt Stafford, DeAndre Swift. On the other team, I had Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Todd Gurley.
I have Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley as well. So I feel like people get where my my hate for the Falcons comes in at.
Yeah, but you also didn't forget that Todd Gurley was on the Falcons when you drafted him. So
okay. Yeah, that one's on you.
yeah.
I did not draft him at all.
Yeah, but I always avoid the Chargers and the Broncos because I just don't understand those teams at all.
They never make sense. They probably never will, especially the Chargers. They've played the same game at 4:00 for 17 straight years.
They're in a Groundhog Day of 425 games.
They are the Bill Murray in Groundhog Day in Puxatawny, Pennsylvania of the 425 games on CBS. Before we get out of here, just special shout out to 2 teams who didn't make the list. So the Rams lost to the Jets. They'll never be on my list again. I'm not going to do this thing with Sean McVay and Jared Goff. I'm just not going to do it with them.
Same thing goes for the Jets. They'll never be on my list again.
In the parallel universe to my right, the Jets will not be in the power rankings as well. So I'm done with them. They will never be in the list. I don't care if they win. They played well against New England and then lost to the Jets. So I don't care. You're off the list forever. The other team, like gold standard Steelers, what the hell is happening? They've lost 3 straight times. And I want to send a message to them. I do not get it. I do not get it. Everybody who's our grandparents' age who lived in Pittsburgh worked in a steel mill since they were age 12. They got 20 minutes above ground where they actually saw the sunlight and the light of the day. And then they went right back into the coal mines. And these assholes are on TikTok all the time making dances. Chase Claypool posted one today where he's like shirtless doing the dice roll dance. What the fuck are you guys doing? These guys are these TikTok stars playing for the gold standard. Steel curtain. Mean Joe Green. Defense. Tough as nails. Just everything about a blue-collar city. And then you have these guys who want to be Charlie D'Amelio. I can't get over this. They get punched in the mouth by the Cincinnati Bengals. They should be embarrassed with what's going on. It's embarrassing how they've gone from this look of toughness to these guys who are just dancing on social media. Like they're just
I disagree.
break it.
I disagree.
You think it's a good thing they've lost 3 straight.
I don't care. No, I don't. The TikTok thing, I don't care. I don't think that has anything to do with them winning or losing. I don't think, like, Juju dancing on the logo isn't, like, that's not, like, billboard material. You know what I mean? Like,
is it, though? I feel like people are getting pissed off. The more people see it.
Why? That's so stupid.
You know how it is as an athlete, though? Like, you see this, every dog, like, you show up to a park and a guy pees on your pole, on your bench. It's your park. It's your pole. I pee there. And then some other guy comes in and he pees on the pole, on your bench. You're going to be pissed off, and then you're territorial. That's what they do. They come in and he gets hit at the 50-yard line and gets trucked. But before the game, he was dancing on the sideline or on the 50-yard line, just like that. And then the guy truck sticks him, and then the social media account's making fun of him, and then it's a big distraction. And instead of talking about the team, you're talking about the TikTok thing. So if you're going to do it, you have to win.
I think he's soft for saying he's not going to do it anymore.
I think they're soft for
because now you're just doing what they want you to do. Keep doing it. Who cares? He makes more money off social media and endorsements than he makes off playing football.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 100%. I'm the one that runs the TikTok. I know how much money's in that.
Wait, are we making money?
Oh, you haven't gotten the check? Must have got lost in the mail.
Been crazy with the holidays. I haven't gotten mine yet. But no. I'm over the TikTok thing. I think it's dumb. I think you can do it if you win, but if you lose three straight games, you're not going to do it. And it's just like not how they're dancing that's also pissing me off. It's weird. I think it's weird.
True. I guess people would have hated Rob Gronkowski if the Patriots weren't good.
People hated him when they were good. People hated the Patriots all the time.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like people in New England probably would have hated Gronk if the Patriots weren't awesome, like weren't amazingly good.
If Gronk went and remember the Super Bowl they lost and he went and he I don't even think he played in the game, but he was like at the club after the game. He got a free pass from that because he also brought them 3 different Super Bowls after that. If he doesn't do that, then that becomes a huge issue. But he did that. Juju Smith-Schuster, it's year 3. You haven't done anything. You guys won 11, and it's not just that. Like it's Chase Claypool being like losing, never heard of her, and then also losing 3 straight games. You're just setting yourself up for failure. You can see it coming a mile away. Like they are making a target the size of the Wile E. Coyote in the targets that he would run through in the desert and putting it on themselves and then losing.
I don't know. I just don't think that's definitely not the reason they're losing.
It's not the reason they're losing, but it's
why is it a problem now? You know, why is it a problem? Like it wasn't a problem for 11 weeks.
I think it was a problem to other teams, but the Steelers were still winning. Now you've lost 3 straight, but it's an optics. We keep talking about optics. It's optics. Like if you're more worried about the dancing thing, and it's a distraction, and then you lose, then it's got to be done. It was fun. Like if you're winning, then do it. Who cares? Because you're winning. But if you come out and you have 2 receptions, 1 fumble, the offense only puts up 17 points against the Bengals, and you lose, shit's got to change. And that's why they're out of my power rankings.
Oh yeah, they should be. I think they're like not a great football team. I just don't think it's anything to do with TikTok.
Look, if things don't shape up, they're gonna have plenty of time to do TikTok dances all summer. All right, well, that wraps it up for power rankings. We talked about our picks. We have gone through, done a little birds versus birds without Kevin. I think as far as a hate week goes, this was great. We didn't have to worry about the Cowboys at all, aside from the actual game. So game this week, 425. We'll see how Jalen Hurts does. And, the division is still up in the air. So for both teams, really. So we'll see how it goes. Anything else for you, Vince?
Yeah, I forgot to ask you this question. Do you want to win this game?
Yeah. Everything in my brain tells me do not win this game. Everything in my heart tells me I don't want to lose to the Cowboys. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I know draft pick wise. Like I know, but I can't do it. I can't lose to the Cowboys. I can't. And what if Washington wins? Or what if Washington loses and the Cowboys win and the Cowboys win the division? No, I can't. I can't have it. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I know everything tells you. I just can't do it.
Also, there's something to be said. If the Eagles win the division this year, this is the first repeat winner in 20 years.
I'll take it. That's the thing. In 5 years, they're going to show the graphic, and I don't want that graphic to say Cowboys won the division. I can't do it. It has to say Eagles won the division.
True. I feel like it's a fun, I have a T-shirt that says I played a JV tennis tournament, and when they give us T-shirts, it said I'm a JV All-Star, which they had to know what they were doing when they made those T-shirts. It's the funniest T-shirt I own. And I feel like winning the division this year is the equivalent of that T-shirt.
That is a great analogy. They are the JV All-Stars of the NFC.
Yeah, we get to say we won the year that the NFC East was the worst team in football.
That everybody said this team is terrible. All right. Well, so that's my last point on that. I'm good. We'll be back next week. Nothing really wrong with the schedule because Christmas is on a Friday. We're lining up some guests, hopefully here in the near future. Hopefully, by the time we talk to you next week, we may not have anything to play for, but it'll be good to recap. So, Vince, thank you for filling in not once, but twice this week, as well as doing everything behind the scenes. And thank you to Stateside Vodka for getting people through the holidays.
Yeah, we may not have anything to win for next week, but we could have everything to lose for.
Everything to lose for. That is correct. The tank could be on All right. For myself, for Vince, and from the cornerback on the Eagles who was working at Tire Mart on December 2nd, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.